So yes, last week, right, that was the main focus of the class, talking about discrimination, and I used the song by Bob Marley to pinpoint some, not all of them, obviously, or else we'd spend the whole semester on it, but what sometimes creates what the source of discrimination is, right? So we talked about skin color, we talked about minorities, and I showed you scenes from the movie The Freedom Riders to show you how they got over it, right? And I wanted to point out, yes, it's a movie, but it is a true story. And as I said last week, Hollywood didn't make it too Hollywoodish, right? So it's pretty close to what happened. So it is a true story. And I do have a DVD, by the way, if you were interested in watching it. So just to kind of refresh what we've done, and also be honest with you, because I'm not saying that discrimination is something that I never do, because I teach about it. And it's something that I feel very self-conscious telling you, but I think it's necessary just to show you how the word I use, I think, is insidious, how we can discriminate not quite realizing we are, right? So, me, never, yeah. So insidious, right? So what that means is you discriminate even if you don't mean to. And obviously my experience, I wasn't consciously doing this. And it happened last year, and it's an artist that I really like. His name is Jero, and it's not Japanese Jero, right? It's not the guy who sings that kind of old-style Japanese music, but he's young. It's Jero with an H, and he's not Japanese. And I only knew him through music, right? I usually don't really pay attention to artists' life or who they are, or where they come from, what they do. And what we were listening to when class started, it's by him. So for me, I love the rhythm. I'm very sensitive to rhythm, so I really like his rhythm. And his songs create extremely intense emotions for me, because I like his stories, I like what he sings about. And I was making a guess about where he comes from. And I thought he was either black or from the Caribbean. And as you can see, he's everything but that. He's French, but he never sings in French. He sings in Spanish and in English. And he's about like 10 years young. No, sorry, he turned 50. So he's, for me, part of a generation I didn't think would make this type of music. So not only was I making a judgment based on the music where he would come from, but also age-wise. I was very surprised that he's 50. And yeah, that's it. And that's discrimination, right? Based on images I have about what kind of music either people who are, from Africa or are African American or from the Caribbean, because we do have a nice community in France, but I didn't know he was French actually. So. I made that judgment. What I'd like you to think about is, do you do this too? Maybe not wanting to, not being aware of. So, but first, before you share with people around you, think about it. Think about how you might discriminate against people in daily life. And I know we've been talking about things that in Japan might not be too familiar. So let me make you think about a couple things. Old people. Handicapped people. Right? People who talk very loudly in the train to nobody, especially. Right? I got one that's so funny on my line. He's amazing. I mean, he does like all the announcements. He's absolutely amazing. So, right? But that's another form of discrimination too, right? Age. Handicaps, and when you live in your own little world, basically. So first, think about it, and then you'll discuss it, right? so that you get a little bit of thinking time. The reason also we've been talking about where ethnocentrism is because, as we saw last week, I think discrimination comes in part from it, right? Because I'm from my country, you're not from that country, or ethnic group. If we go that way, you look that way and I look that way, so, right, we are different. So that's why also I'm connecting discrimination and ethnocentrism. And whether we like it or not, there is a tendency to do this. So I'm not saying everybody do, but we tend to see people that are different from us as the scary others. Well, the idea is that, and again, I am not saying that your filters are wrong. I just want to point them out, that we notice them, right? So from our background, the cultural filters they make us think that what we see is normal, right? What you see in Japan is normal because you grew up there. For the 3 French in the classroom, if we eat a cheese that smells really bad, that's normal for us, right? That's part of our culture. For Americans, going crazy over the Super Bowl, and I'm making a generalization here, that's normal, right? We kind of look at it like, eh? Well, but that's, right? Culture has made us see things as normal. The thing is, if someone sees differently, then it's not normal. And that's what may be scary, right? So that's the idea behind the cultural filters and discrimination. So think about it again, right? Culture has an impact, and we'll go into another aspect today. But yes, culture may do this little trick on us. And it only takes us to be aware, to pay attention. Why am I reacting this way? And then you can be better. So about not doing it, or not at least judging people or feeling scared. That's kind of the idea. Simply, how does the other see the world? Right? So kind of trying to think, what are the filters for that person? It's not easy to do, but at least asking yourself the question makes you think about it and be a bit less reactive, but put a bit more thinking behind it. And really, the next one for me is the other really that different? Right? Remember when we were talking about the fact that la race humaine in French, or human race in English, has a positive connotation, because really, as you said, Kevin, for me it comes down to that. We're just human beings, right? Yes, we have differences, and today I'm going to celebrate our differences, but overall, we're just human beings, right? So, and this is something also we'll work on when we get to the part of the class where we talk about the keys to successful intercultural communication, the idea of finding something we have in common. So we'll go into more details in that, but it's connected to what I showed you last week, right? In the Freedom Riders, the students in the classroom literally hated one another, but when they realized that they actually had a lot of things in common, the tension, at least the tension, went down. And if you keep watching the movie or read the books, you realize that they actually figure out a way to work together, even though their minority groups push them apart. By looking at what they have in common, they find a way to work together, right? So that's another thing that may help when it comes to ethnocentrism and discrimination. And yes, get to know the person, right? I mean, yes, the guy on the subway who was doing the announcements, for each stations and all of that, he's definitely a bit unusual, and yes, maybe he might worry people, right? Because maybe he's crazy and maybe he's going to do something. But actually, I say hi to him, so now he says the hi back to me. So I know it's not a lot to get to know him, but at least I say hi and he says hi back. So it's kind of an interesting, so people kind of look at me weird now. No, I'm the weirdo. She says hi to him. So, but, you know, just sometimes a little step saying hi to someone might create a little connection, and maybe, I don't know, one day he will explain to me why he likes doing this. And before passing judgment, and actually if we didn't have to pass judgment, that would be even better. But again, we still do it. It's hard not to, right? So just a couple things for you to think about regarding discrimination. And just because I introduced Jero, I found a great song by him that is a little difficult to understand because it's a live recording in Paris. And so that's why I wrote down the lyrics. It might be easier to understand. I'm not even sure it's an official recording, so maybe I'm playing something that is not legal. So he has, as I said, a lot of songs that tell stories about differences, about love, and also about the state of the world. And this one is called One World. So I'll play the video. You can watch it, but it might be easier if you read the lyrics, actually, because it's not very clear. I've just picked up, I think it's pretty much just the beginning, right? All nations, like all worlds, they will come down. And remember, when we did Imagine by John Lennon, he also talked already about that tricky things that countries are, and the fact they create literal borders, right, between people. You're American, I'm French, you're Japanese, that creates a border already, right? So Jerry is talking about the same thing. Once we can get rid of that, things might be a little better, right? And here we go, right? So it goes further. Frontiers is another, in French it's actually border is frontière. So I'm not sure if he's just doing some transfer between French and English. And all races, what we talked about last week, right? The whole minorities, the race, based on races. So it's something you see a lot in music. So hopefully it will go further than that, not just stay in music. And the last bit I highlighted for me, I know that I watch the news, so I know things don't look great. I don't know if you heard about what happened in Bangladesh yesterday. I had a very bad night because of it. One of the, LGBTQ, because now we have the Q leader in Bangladesh, got hacked to death in his apartment because he's supporting LGBTQ rights, and that's enough to decide that he should die, right? So I know still horrible things are happening. Believe me, I realize that. But on the other hand, there is a counter movement too, right? There are people trying to make things better, and I believe that being here together and thinking about it is also part of the change, right? Hopefully you'll have children and you'll be able to help them see the world in a less biased way and be more open. If you're going to be a teacher, you can pass this on to your students, and just your own life, right? Trying to make it a little better. So I want to be positive, and so that's why I highlighted the last part of the first paragraph of the song. So, and I do believe also it's a great way for me to push you even further with the whole concept of getting to know yourself better through the class and the discussions we have, right? I do think that we can change if we take time to understand who we are, because those filters we have from culture, and today we'll talk about experience, they are hard to see, right? We need to take the time, we need to question them, to see them and try to make the improvements we want to see in our lives. So the few concepts we've been already discussing and the one that are coming should help us. So we've talked about ethnocentrism, the fact that it influences the way we see tattoos was the specific topic. People who are different from us, that was last week with the freedom riders and the minorities. And I want to emphasize today that it's not just a matter of nation or culture and ethnocentrism, that's the ethno part, that's what it means, right? It's the nation or culture. It's also a matter of individual. So who you are as a unique one person with your experience and your family background and all of that. So the personal background, right? And yes, I'm going back to the tattoos thing. So first we approached it with a cultural thing, right? That in Japan it's usually seen as scary. You cannot go to some public places if you have some. And yes, there's a cultural aspect. But as some of you wrote in your feedback, you changed, if you're Japanese, you changed your opinion when you went abroad because you got to see people with a lot more tattoos and you realized they're not all scary, they're not all Yakuza, they're actually sometimes really cool people. Some of you have met international students in Japan and realized they were not scary and not dangerous. So through your experience, you changed, right? You had a different perspective. So yes, this might be a bit radical. This might be something still that you find overwhelming, but she probably has really good reasons for that. And so I'd love to be able to talk with her to know why she got these specific tattoos on her body. And obviously she's got a lot of them, right? It's not just a few here and there, but pretty massive. I also showed you these pictures, so on a more traditional approach, right? So he's Maori. I am sorry, I can't find my reference anymore, so I'm not sure which tribe she belongs to. But clearly she's got some very powerful tattoos on her face, so that might it's connected to more traditions. Here we might be going back to either a symbol or a fashion statement. Yeah, we never know. Again, I would have to ask these people. So, what I'm trying to get at is that, yes, there is culture, but there is also the way you see it. It's not because you're Japanese that you're scared of tattoos. That would be a stereotype, a generalization, because you might actually want one. And a lot of you tell me, I would like to have one, but I can go to the onsen if I get one. So, yes. So, why is that? Well, that's what I'm trying to explore with you this week, is the fact that you are Japanese, American, or French, but you are your own person. You're unique, right? Nobody has had the life you've had. Exactly the same one, impossible, right? So we're all unique and yeah, all unique. I don't want to use different. And for me, that personal experience overrides sometimes the cultural. So for instance, with tattoos in Japan, it takes over. No, it's not scary. So it removes it or adds, right? It depends on the situation. So it just adds another layer in the way you see the world. So again, right, it's another filter. Culture and then your own personal experience. So yes, tattoos don't have just a cultural meaning, they can also have a personal one. And as I know last week I messed up because you probably saw it last week already, I do have tattoos. I've got actually 3. I've got one on my neck, I've got one here, and I've got one on my ankle. Right? So yes, I don't go to onsens in Japan, but I've never had problem in swimming pools. Right? Nobody has ever said anything to me. So I like to share the meaning of this one, the butterfly, right? The one I got on my forearm. And excuse me if I get teary, okay? Usually I'm pretty good, I can control it, but sometimes I can't. Yeah, here you go, you can't see it. And it's actually the ring I'm wearing. The design comes from the ring, if you wonder. And I got it done in New Zealand. So all my tattoos were done in other countries. One is America, that one is New Zealand, that one is Japan. The back of my neck. So I got tattooed in Japan. I'll tell you more next semester if you come. So the one I have on my ankle, it's the, when did I come back from the US? 1998, so that was 1999. So I've had the one on my ankle for a long, long time. But the one on my forearm is 2008, and for those of you who know me already, you may realize it's about a year after I got the divorce. So I had been trying to deal with being divorced, so not being married anymore. And I came to a kind of a important stage, and instead of feeling pretty much horrible about not being married anymore, I just realized, well, you know, life has good things and bad things. I know it seems silly, but that's when I realized it. Instead of just focusing on the negative, well, actually there are also positive things happening. So, and I like calling them surprises because I like planning. I have plans, but usually my plans don't work out. So it's like, oops, surprise, you gotta change the plan, right? So that's why I like to call them surprises. And the big thing, the reason I chose the butterfly, papier, it's in French, the butterfly, is because I realized I had to make a decision. Yes, good things, bad things. So either I'm going to adapt to the change, right? It's all good and then something bad to happen, or it's all bad and then something good to happen. So I adapt and enjoy it, or I refuse it and I fight it. And I think after the divorce, this is where I was. I was refusing it and I was fighting it. So obviously, I realized that that wasn't working too well for me. I'm talking about me here, right? It's a me moment. I'm not saying this is what you should do. It's just all about me. And I decided to do the other one. I decided to adapt. Sometimes it's not fun. And try to enjoy it as much as I could, right? And to me, what happened is when I adapted to changes, I discovered new things about me. So in a way, I kind of became someone new, right? It was still Sophie, but with little changes to the Sophie concept. And it's sometimes a bit scary, but as I said, I wanted to enjoy this. So decided, okay, I won't be afraid of this whole new me. And yes, that's what I realized. For me, the new me was even better, actually. And it's when the image of the butterfly hit me. You know what a butterfly looks like before it's a butterfly? It's pretty ugly, huh? Eating all those, leaves thing, it's not that. I mean, the caterpillar is not the most enduring insect, right? It's not that beautiful. So, but then it goes into the cocoon and comes out and it's beautiful, right? So, yes, sometimes things are not so beautiful, almost quite ugly, but good things can come out of it. So that was for me the image of the butterfly. And that's the butterfly, a monarch coming out of the cocoon, actually, right? So you got the cocoon right there, and it's come out of it. So that to me was a very powerful image. And why did I get it tattooed? I'm not sure. It was just what I needed to do when I realized this, right? It was for me a very important moment in my life where I realized surprises, try to adapt, discover the new you, right? And that was extremely important. So yes, I got the butterfly tattoo. I'll be completely truthful with you. Changing, so discovering new sides or personality traits in you. Sometimes people are a bit surprised about it. They're not usually very supportive, especially when it's your parents, because they think they know you, right? So, And so at first, I have to say some people, my mother especially, was not so happy about a couple of the changes. And when I found that picture, I'm like, you've changed, because that's kind of what my mom kept telling me. You've changed. So yes, it's you might have reactions around you, right? People might be surprised and not understand the changes. But honestly, you know what? If you're happy, in the end, people will be happy too, and the changes will just go through, right? So as long as you're working out, as far as I'm concerned, I believe other people will be okay. What I've noticed with my mom is that step-by-step changes are accepted, right? So one change that my mom didn't like is that I did not want to talk over and over and over again about bad things. And my mom tends to do this. It's a way for her, I guess, to process, to understand. But I'm like, you know what? That doesn't work for me. I don't mind talking about it once, but then I don't want it to keep coming back and back and back and back, because it's not making me happy. It's making me feel bad. It's taking me down. So that was one change. Now my mom is cool with it. She knows that, yes, if something bad happens, I will explain it, but I'm not going to go over it another time and another time and another time. So that was one of the changes for me. So hopefully you can see that this tattoo has nothing to do with fashion. It's absolutely personal. And actually, the tattoo artist in New Zealand really liked the design, and he said, can I use it for other people? And I said no. So he destroyed the drawing, right, that he had made, because that is an extremely personal one, right? It's not just a fashion thing. So I asked him. Hopefully he did. I'm not going to go back to Auckland to check, right? But so for me, the fact that tattoos, yes, there's a culture, but it also depends on your own individual experience, not just on the fact that you're Japanese, American, French, from El Salvador, is it? Yep, and Mexico. There you go, right? It's not just from where you're from, what your passport says or whatever your passport says. I definitely believe that different experiences bring about different perspectives, right? So it's not just about culture, it's also what you experience in life. And if you want to know about the next one, you have to come next semester. I will not talk about it this semester. So, the way you see tattoo, I'll let you talk about it. Maybe it's time for you to stand up and go meet people you haven't talked to, or even if you've already talked to everybody, just go find someone else you haven't talked to today. If you need to introduce yourself, and then go ahead, and if you try to remove the cultural factor or filter, what is your opinion about tattoos? Right? So go for it, stand up, meet someone. You got 6 minutes. All right. For the next activity, if you want to go back to your seat, that's fine, but if you'd rather sit where you are, no problem too. Some of you have done it already. If you're taking the next class, you've done the activity already. So keep it quiet, okay? So that the others can be surprised. And yes, if you were here last semester, if you took the fall semester class, yes, you've done it too already, but hopefully you'll still enjoy. So the activity may or may not take you back to your childhood. Who played with Lego when they were little? Okay, a big number. Okay. So yes, you're going to be playing with Lego today. And the Legos are in a plastic bag, so it's one for each. And you have 6 pieces of Lego. Yeah, I'll explain in a second, I promise.
Oh, yes.
I know.
Can we do the same?
If you want. Just be the self you are now. So yes, if you open the bags, sorry, you got only one, you'll see you got 6 pieces of Lego, right? You got 4 yellow and 2 red. So, I'd like you to make a duck. Yes, so you got super fast people. So go ahead, make a duck. That's what I mean by duck, right? That's the duck concept of a duck. So I'll give you 2 minutes to do it, and then let's share that. All right. So the idea is that I'd like you, as a way to actually learn everybody's name, I'd like you to take a picture of you and your duck. Okay. So take a picture of yourself with. And maybe it's easier if you ask your partner to take the picture, right? And so try to hold it so that I can also see your face. Because I know some of you by names, but the others I don't, and I don't like that. So take a picture of your duck and send me the picture with your student number and name today. It doesn't have to be right now, but at least today so that I can get everybody's on board. And yes, my email address is in the booklet, page 1, or something like that. Yes, page 1 at the top, and I've written it here. So have fun, take pictures. You got 3 minutes to do this, okay? Take pictures and send it to me. And so hopefully you see the connection. So the students who are taking the next class, we did it for one reason, and it's pretty much connected to why I'm making it you do now. So, but quickly, with the people around you, why do you think I made you do the Lego ducks, right? What does that represent? I'll give you, no, I can't, we need to keep moving, but please talk about it with the people around you, yeah? Why the Lego ducks? What do you think they symbolize for me, okay? You've got 2 minutes. So, as far as I'm concerned, yes, the Lego duck may show how good you are with playing with Lego, but in the end, I think it shows that we all have our own idea of a duck, right? It's very unusual that we all make the same one. I mean, a couple of us did have the same one, but it's very unusual that we all make the same one. And it's just to show that even though the majority here is from Japan, it's not because you're from Japan that you make the same one, right? It's not the culture that forces you to be that way. It is who you are. So for me, it's just a way to show that there's no right and wrong in this situation, right? We all have our own idea of a duck. It's just the way we see it. So I'd like to show you other people's creation, just to give you a bit of a broader perspective. So Michael is from the UK, and he was a bit on the cubic side. So the duck is, I don't know, maybe like a truck drove over him or something. So that was Michael's. And then Sam, he's American, so Sam was very extreme. I mean, we were in Cambodia building a house, so maybe his brain wasn't, no, just kidding, but yeah, so Sam, that's how he saw his duck. Right? And then Gregory is from France, and he was singing more like an Eiffel Tower style, right? Like tall and beautiful and all of that. So next week, once I get your pictures, I will put them together to show you what you made in the class, okay? So that you can enjoy the beauty of our uniqueness. So, yes, that's the key word for me, right? Unique. Because I really do not like different, but unique. You are your own person. And for me, it's literally what makes life such an exciting experience. I really enjoy meeting people who think differently than me, who have different experience, who can share that with me, right? That's what makes it exciting. If everybody was like me, I would be bored to death, right? Because I know it, that's my life. So that's what I really like about us being unique. So, and the student comment was very interesting. I had never thought about it this way again. We're unique, different thinking. And she said, I believe it was she said that the duck was a symbol of humanity. And she wrote, even though all the ducks were different, they came from the same Lego pieces. 6 pieces, it's all the same, but we all made different ducks, sorry. Even though we are all different, we all come from the same things that make us human.
Well, some way can do this thing in your place.
Now we're not going there. So that for me was a very nice symbol too, right? The symbol of humanity. So basically, for me with the duck, the message is that remember that what you see is not the only way, right, to see, to understand, and to appreciate life. Right? We have all different ways of doing this. And it's the reason why I also share the Japanese poem at the bottom of the handout. It's within the poem with the English side. It says, "All different, all just right." And this is a student who shared the poem with me after we did the doc activity. I didn't know the author, and it is Kaneko Misuzu. And I guess it's a poem you learn when you're in elementary school, usually in Japan. So, me, a songbird, and a bell. I won't have time to read it in class right now, but it's very interesting, yet a different way to see our differences and being unique, right? So if you want to read it, I would highly encourage you to do so. So, and this is just to go ahead and introduce the concept of today. And it's the idea that it's egocentrism. So, if you think that what you see is the only way to see, to understand, and or to appreciate life, and you judge someone's lifestyle according to your ego filter, then you are egocentric. Because again, this is the way you see life from your experience is not a problem. It's when you start thinking it's the only way, and then you start judging others. It's the two combined that triggers egocentrism, right? You're not thinking about what the other people's experience is. It's only you, right? The me thing. So that's when you become egocentric. So actually, that's the good thing. I know you probably don't care much, but that's for me a great way to remember it. But so in ethnocentric and egocentric, centric has the meaning of a specific center, right? So a specific focus. And in the case of ethnocentric, the center is ethno, which is the country. So these are your cultural filters. And in the case of egocentric, the center is the ego. In psychoanalytical term, it means you, right? Yourself. Me, the whole concept of that. So being ethnocentric is when you use your country, your culture, to judge others, not thinking that, ooh, gee, maybe they are different. And when you're egocentric, it's when you judge others based on who you are, not thinking, again, that, yes, they're probably different from who you are. So ethnocentrism, egocentrism, and the adjective ethnocentric and egocentric. So to summarize, between week 2, 3, and 4, we discussed ethnocentrism and egocentrism, and it's just to show you that these are 2 of the filters. There are more. I just can't go over all of them, and I think those are the easiest one to pay attention to. So yes, we see the world through 2 main filters, your culture, our culture, and who we are. So if you can pay attention to these, I think you'll take a big step towards others and a big step towards not discriminating. So that's my message for today, and I am on time. Thank you guys very, very, very much. I know we have collectivism on the handout. We'll talk about it next week, okay? It was just kind of an introduction, but sorry, I ran out of time.